My name is Marissa Cole. I'm 37, living alone in Durham, North Carolina. For most of my life, I believed that showing up, paying quietly, and keeping things together meant belonging. I thought Christmas was the one time of year effort mattered. Last December proved otherwise. It started with small signs. No email thread, a locked family drive, and a short message from my mother telling me not to worry about Christmas. Words that felt less like kindness and more like a verdict. At first, I thought it was simple rejection. But the truth was far worse. While they prepared to exclude me, I had been paying every bill that kept their house running. The mortgage, utilities, everything. And when I later learned what they'd said about me behind closed doors, something inside me didn't flare with anger. It settled into a cold clarity. The unraveling began on a quiet Tuesday morning. Frost lined my windows, my coffee was already cold, and my inbox stayed empty. No messages, no invitations, no familiar holiday planning, only silence that felt intentional. The shared drive returned nothing but a red "Access denied." A door that had always been open was suddenly locked from the inside. Then came my mother's message. A polite dismissal disguised as concern. The apartment felt heavier. The kind of silence that fills your chest rather than your ears. This wasn't forgetfulness. It was a decision. 2 years earlier, I'd had my first glimpse of what it meant to be useful, but invisible. After a long shift, I drove to Charlotte with homemade cookies and wrapped gifts. When I walked into the house, no one looked up. The table was full. Caroline mocked my late arrival, and laughter followed. No one made room for me. My gifts were placed aside without comment. My cookies disappeared without acknowledgement. And the next day, photos were posted with a caption claiming, "Everyone made it this year," taken from angles that ensured I wasn't visible. Back then, I told myself it was holiday chaos. But sitting alone in my apartment now, I finally saw it clearly. I wasn't overlooked. I was intentionally removed. 3 years before that December, I stood in a small shipping store in Durham with a stack of gifts I'd spent months choosing. Things my family had mentioned loving. Items I picked with care. The total cost was more than I could afford, but I paid anyway, telling myself the effort would mean something. Days later, I saw a Facebook post from my mother's home. The gifts I sent were clearly visible. The bracelet on Caroline's wrist, the scarf around my mother's shoulders, the ornaments on the tree. But the caption read, "From all of us." My name wasn't mentioned once. Comments thanked the family, praising everyone except the one person who paid for everything. It wasn't the money that hurt. It was the quiet erasure. A pattern that would repeat itself over and over. There were smaller moments too, ones I dismissed at the time. Like my cousin Nathan's birthday. 20 guests, a catered dinner, decorations, a custom cake. My mother called asking me to put everything on my card just until her banking app worked again, promising reimbursement she never sent. Later, online posts credited the entire family, with Caroline joking about teamwork. I wasn't mentioned at all. The truth was becoming impossible to ignore. In my family, anything that cost money was considered ours, and anything that required gratitude belonged to them. I was the open wallet, the helper in the background, never acknowledged, never included. But the deepest betrayal came from the mortgage. 4 years earlier, my mother begged me to co-sign to save the house, promising it was temporary. I believed her. I signed the papers, and every month afterward, the $1,420 payment quietly left my account. She never took it back, never offered to split it, never even admitted the responsibility wasn't hers. At gatherings, she bragged about maintaining the home alone. No one knew the truth. and I let them believe the lie, thinking silence kept peace. But silence doesn't protect peace. It protects the person benefiting from it. The moment everything finally made sense came on my birthday, a year and a half before the voicemail. I found a photo online of my family celebrating my birthday without me. Cake, candles, a post about celebrating me in spirit. I had never been invited. They celebrated my existence without my presence and expected me to be grateful. That night, something inside me closed. Not angrily, but out of self-preservation. Back in my Durham apartment, facing cold coffee, a deleted group chat, a denied folder, and a voicemail that sounded more like a judgment than a message. All the memories connected seamlessly. None of this was sudden. None of it was accidental. They hadn't simply forgotten me. They had practiced forgetting me. By December, they had perfected it. And sitting at my kitchen table, phone face down, I realized with a cold, steady clarity, this wasn't the start of a problem. This was the end of a pattern. One I had funded, enabled, and carried for years. And one I was finally ready to stop. The moment everything aligned, the locked folder, the missing emails, the empty text from my mother, something in me settled. Not like pain sinking in, heavy and suffocating, but like snow landing on a branch. Quiet, final, undeniable. I stared at the access denied message, its reflection ghosting across my cold coffee. A stillness spread through my chest, the kind that comes when the truth no longer needs to fight to be understood. It wasn't confusion. It wasn't shock. It was clarity. Cold, immaculate clarity. I opened another tab, then another, then a third. Bank accounts, utility accounts, mortgage statements, recurring payments, auto-pay schedules. Lines and lines of transactions stretching back so far the page flickered when I scrolled. Every bill for the Charlotte house. Electric, gas, internet, insurance, yard maintenance, security, was tied to my name, my card, my income, her home, her gatherings, her holidays, all powered by me. When I opened the mortgage PDF, my breath hitched. My name, my signature, my responsibility, her ownership. In that moment, I understood. I wasn't a family member. I was infrastructure. Invisible, reliable, expected. And infrastructure is only appreciated when it breaks. A calmness spread through me. Not forgiveness, not anger, but the quiet certainty that I didn't owe anyone another explanation. I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't going to beg for a seat at a table I'd been funding for years. I was simply going to stop, quietly, precisely, legally. And I was going to document everything. On my desktop, I created a folder. It didn't feel dramatic, just factual. Inside it, screenshots, receipts, voicemails, statements, legal papers, text logs. Truth gathered at last. No shaking hands, no rage, just order. It began with the smallest click. Electric login, autopay. Off. Gas, off. Screenshot saved, filed. Each capture clean and rectangular, each file sliding neatly into place. Inside, something aligned, like vertebrae clicking back into position. Home insurance, cancel. Security system, disable, confirm, save proof. Then the mortgage. Co-borrower, not owner. I held the risk, she held the house. I reviewed interest rates, payment history, legal language that had bound me to a home where no seat was ever set for me. Then I initiated a payment freeze, citing financial reassessment. Entirely legal. Pending approval, payments temporarily halted. Screenshot, file, timestamp. It felt like unbuckling a seatbelt after years of restraint. Next, I archived voicemails. My mother's voice, cool and practiced. We all agreed. You're not welcome at Christmas. Saved. Labeled. Filed. Screenshots of texts. Caroline's passive jabs. Cousin's sudden silence. Relatives who only reached out when they needed money. All organized. One email to my bank officer. I would like guidance on removing myself from financial obligations not tied to assets I own. Polite, direct, emotionless. No CCs. This wasn't a discussion. It was procedure. Finally, I blocked the family group chat. Not from anger, just closure. The kind that doesn't slam the door, only locks it quietly. On my screen, the folder Frozen Accounts, Evidence, December 24th, glowed faintly. Every file inside it was a truth I had carried alone. Now it was organized. And my silence was over. It began like all avalanches do. Slow pressure, then collapse. Wednesday, overdue electric bill. Thursday, internet suspension warning. Friday, gas notice. Red flags piling in my mother's inbox, while she still pretended she had everything under control. I only learned about it because she posted a vague complaint on Facebook. Some people really know how to ruin Christmas. A friend screenshotted it and sent, "You okay?" "Yes," I replied. And it was enough. By Saturday, the real crack formed. Caroline messaged from a new number.
"Did you mess with the house accounts? Nothing is working."
Then, "This isn't funny."
"Turn everything back on."
I set my phone down. No anger, no heat, only stillness. The kind that follows a storm and marks the beginning of the next phase. The next morning, my apartment felt different. Still cold and quiet, but steadier, as if the silence was finally giving me room to breathe. I made coffee, sat at the table, and looked at the note I'd written the night before. Freeze. Every account. So I opened my laptop and began. The mortgage portal loaded with familiar dread. The same draft date, the same numbers. I clicked Manage Payment Options, hovered for a moment, then pressed Freeze Payment. No shaking hands, no second thoughts. A green check mark confirmed what years of obligation had never given me. Control. One account down. Then I moved through the rest. Electric, gas, internet, insurance. Click, confirm, save PDF. Label. Archive. File. My movements felt almost ceremonial. Slow, exact, clean. By noon, every system supporting the Charlotte house was inactive or pending shutoff. Their comfort, warmth, celebrations, all these years, had been built on my quiet sacrifice. Now they would feel what life looked like without it. Christmas Eve revealed the impact sooner than I imagined. Wrapped in a blanket, reading under the soft glow of my lamp, I heard my phone erupt with notifications. Power just went out. Electric account inactive. How? Oven won't turn on. Turkey is raw. Catering card declined. People are leaving. Then Caroline. Did you do this? This is your fault. Fix this now. Kids are crying. I put my phone down gently. My apartment stayed warm and calm, while theirs unraveled in real time. The contrast was almost cinematic. Chaos on their side, quiet on mine. At 6:42 p.m., she sent the message that said everything. Duke Energy says the primary account holder froze the account. Was that you? Primary account holder, me. The one they erased, but never hesitated to rely on. More accusations followed. You made Mom look stupid. People think she's broke. This is humiliating. But humiliation wasn't my doing. It was the truth finally showing itself. Then came a single, gentle message from my cousin Tessa. They know it was you. And honestly, they should have expected this. I closed my eyes, let the calm settle. Their world had gone dark. Mine, for the first time, felt lit. Christmas morning brought consequences of a different kind. A news alert flashed. Nora Reed steps down from annual charity potluck amid financial misrepresentation concerns. The article exposed irregularities in her contributions, how the community had misunderstood who actually funded what. Quietly, without drama, her name was removed from the website, an erasure she couldn't control. Then the bank called. "You're the primary co-borrower," the representative said. "You had full authority to suspend payments. No legal issue." He also mentioned an employee being placed on administrative leave after a recorded conversation surfaced. Brian, the man who'd once advised others to keep my name on paperwork because it was clean. His downfall wasn't mine. It was his own words finally being heard. 2 days later, I walked into the bank with my evidence. A loan officer reviewed everything and said gently, "You're entitled to remove your name from this entirely. You've contributed far more than required." I signed the papers. A final stamp echoed lightly. A soft, final release. Outside, the snow drifted in slow, quiet spirals. For the first time, driving home, I felt whole. Back in my apartment, coffee warming my hands, I realized I didn't destroy them. I simply stopped letting them take from me. Their consequences were theirs. And the peace, finally, was mine. If you've ever carried a family that refused to see you, if you've been convenient instead of loved, let this be your reminder. You are not cruel for setting boundaries. You are not heartless for choosing yourself. And you don't have to keep lighting a house that refuses to let you in. Tell me where you're listening from. Share your own story if it echoes this one. And subscribe for more cold, honest confessionals. Stories where silence becomes truth, and truth becomes freedom.